turn things upside down. Instead of being ashamed and hidden, let's put it out front, and this is who we are. And now we own this, right?
Absolutely.
That's a good way to be.
Yeah, I have it here.
You have the Braille socks here. Good.
I love it. Well, everyone, you just got a little preview to how we're starting this show. These two gentlemen are extremely inspiring. They've been on that entrepreneur show and it will be released in a few weeks. But first, we're going to have a mental health break show with Mark and John. Thank you so much for joining a mental health break.
Oh, Vincent, we're
Thank you so
excited.
much. I'm really excited. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us on.
Oh, well, you were two all-stars last time. And before we get too far ahead, you heard the preview about the Braille socks. These two gentlemen have an incredible sock company. I'm sure that will come up a little bit. But for today, this is a mental health break, and they are here to share their stories to help you remember that you are never alone. They inspired me so much on the first show. I had to have them back. Which one of you wants to start? What is the number one thing you like to do to take care of your mental health?
I take care of mental health, and you're not alone. I change your mind, and in any world, you want to be more impact. You have now.
I'll echo that, John.
Okay.
I think when we get into bad places, we think we're alone and nobody understands. One of the things I've learned is by being vulnerable, we get to make connections with other people, and you find out you're not alone. That doesn't mean there's a magic answer, but it's very helpful to know you're not alone.
And that's the truth. Being vulnerable is not easy, especially at first, but that's one of the many goals here to bring conversations like ours together. We all can pick out something from every conversation, whether it's where someone's from, what they've been through, what school they went to, some commonality to bring you together. I love that.
It can be hard. I mean, I have multiple examples in our lives.
Please.
But, one of them, my middle son, his older brother.
Yeah.
For a while, you'd go to drug problems. He was grappling with drugs. And at one point, his best friend died in the streets in our little village. He had just come home from his freshman year in college, where he played on the national championship lacrosse team. Came from a good family, a supportive family, died in the streets. And later that day, I ran into a friend and acquaintance who is a columnist for Newsday. We live on Long Island. Newsday is the big paper in Long Island. And I said, Joy, this thing happened. And, maybe you'll look into this. And she looked at me and she said, Mark, it's the 5th overdose death this year from north of 25A. Now, just to put that in some context, Long Island is very segregated by economic means and race. And if you live close to the water, those are the wealthier areas. So 25A is a road that runs east-west. North of that tends to be very wealthy. In our town, there's an area called Huntington Station for more minorities. Anything that goes wrong, people blame it on Huntington Station. But here she was saying, no, it's from those wealthy area. People are dying. And I said, well, how come nobody knows that? She said, it's because nobody will talk about it. And from that point on, I made a point of talking. And the connections are wild. People break down in tears because they've been holding it in, they've been hiding, they've been covering it up. And it's hard. My son doesn't necessarily like me talking about it. He's like, that's my life. But I'm like, it's our life too as parents. And I've seen that type of thing happen. A parallel thing. We're entrepreneurs. We're running a business. It can be very lonely doing that. And we have a great team. I have a wonderful spouse, right? Your mom,
My mom.
right? We haven't gotten close. We'll be married 43 years this year. We haven't
Jeez,
got,
congratulations.
we haven't gotten close to divorce. Murder, maybe, but not the,
I got
Um,
that.
but she doesn't really understand what it's like to be there and leading that organization. So it's very helpful to be part of a group of entrepreneurs. So I've joined an organization called the Entrepreneurs Organization, but there are lots of others out there where there are other people going through the same experiences. And EO has a really great ethic. No shooting on people. No telling people, well, you should do this or you should do that. No, you can share your experiences. But I got to figure this stuff out, right?
I think that is the best advice we can give to everyone else out there, whether you're in that organization or not. Be kind, give constructive feedback. Don't kick people when they're down, help them when they're up. I love that there. I know that there's a story involved in the company you've built, right, John? There's a story involved in all of that. Why don't you tell me how this company improves your mental health, the happiness of being involved with this company? I know you love it.
Does it make you happy working at John's Crazy Socks and leading it?
I do. I love leading my company.
What makes you happiest? What are things that happen that make you happy?
Like this morning, and like this morning, I'm a lead. I'm a leader because I lead at the morning meeting.
We do a morning
Because-
stand up. John leads the meeting.
I leaded the meeting. I did a really good job. I'm really proud of that. It makes me more successful because I know what my story about. I know my story be more impact.
Well, you can go and do things. Is there anything that makes you happier than when we're busy and you see all of our colleagues, all the jobs you've created, and all of our colleagues at work?
Yes,
Is that cool?
this is amazing. I love working with my employees and having more people with a different ability.
It's so empowering
I bet.
to see these folks who couldn't get a job, didn't have a place, they'll come together. There is nothing better. Vincent, we ought to fly people in to come in, particularly during our holiday season when the place is filled and we're busy. There is so much energy. There is so much joy. And but we see it in small ways, like we do tours.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
We do tours and we host work groups of students coming in from high schools or clients from social service agencies. And these are really important because these folks get to see people who look like them working or owning a business. And it offers them hope and offers them encouragement. You like giving those tours, don't you?
I like giving tours. I tell you quick thing about the tour. Like my colleague, Maria Luna, she meets us sequel the tour come in, and she told me, I got a package. I got a mail from the tour, and I saying thank you so much for the tour, and they love I gave them a tour and how I did a really good job, and that makes me feel so good.
I'll give you an example from this, right?
Yeah.
We get a phone call the day after a teacher had brought her class in for a tour. And she said, I just want to tell you something that happened today. There was a student who didn't want to go on the tour, but he went. He shows up the next day and he had taken a picture of him and John together and then printed that out and came up to the teacher and handed it to her and said, "You see, I can do anything."
It doesn't get better than that. And John, that means you inspired her so much to go ahead and improve her day.
But
Great job.
here's another story. We tell this one often because it's so good. We're telling about Thomas.
Yeah, I love that story.
So Thomas is one of our sock wranglers. That's what we call the pickers in our warehouse. His mother first called us in October of 2017 and said, "I hear you hire people like my son. I want you to give my son a job." And our colleagues said, "Okay, but we don't have any openings and we'll post it when we do." She called every day because she's a mom.
Right.
And I spoke to her and I said, "Tell me about Thomas." She said, "Well, he's in his early 20s. He has autism and he's in a bad way. He's fairly nonverbal, but he's very depressed. We have trouble getting him to come out of his room. He doesn't want to shower or shave, won't join any programs, doesn't want to go out. And he hasn't spoken to his father in over 6 months." It's like, oh, sounds like a wonderful employee. And when we had an opening, we said, "Bring Thomas out." Now, to get the job, you have to pass the sock wrangler test. Thomas passed that test as if he was put on this earth to be a sock wrangler.
Incredible.
Today, that same young man, he is showered and shaved and waiting for his father to drive him to work. And when he gets in, the guy who wouldn't look at you or talk to you goes around the whole building saying good morning to everybody.
Wow.
Last year, he stood up at his brother's wedding and gave the best man toast.
Wow.
Look what a job can do.
And not only a job, it seems like a fulfilling a passion. Just you created a community, created an environment for someone to thrive. And when we're happy and we're thriving, usually our mental health is on the upper side.
Yes. Yes, when you're working at something that's bigger than ourselves and you're working with others, it may sound counterintuitive. A lot of times when we're in a bad way, we just think about ourselves. What do I have to do while this is happening to me? But in fact, when we think about others and do for others, that's what will lift us up.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more. Purpose-driven work is where it's at. Everyone, I hope you've been inspired because we're not done yet. I want to revisit what we started the show with. These special Braille socks. There's some benefits for certain people, you were saying. Let's talk about that.
Well, let's put it in some context.
Yeah.
One of the things we do, we design socks to celebrate people, celebrate causes, and then raise money for those causes. So what were the first awareness socks we created?
Very first sock I have been created is a janitor marina sock.
Right? So instead of being ashamed or, we cover up Down syndrome, it was no, let's celebrate people with Down syndrome. So we have this whole long line now of awareness socks that raise money for charity partners. And the most recent one we introduced now 2 weeks ago
Yes.
were our Braille socks. They are the world's first tactile Braille socks. So it took a lot of work to make this happen. And the socks have the Braille alphabet on it. And around the band, what's it say around the band at the top?
It said I inspired, and it's great, beautiful socks, and
it recognizes people with vision impairment.
absolutely.
And it's saying we, pun intended, we see you. And we're paying attention. And we're going to celebrate you. And then 10% from the sale of those. So all the profits or any other money go to the Guide Dog Foundation, which provides services for people with significant vision impairment.
I love it. So you had a whole line of socks now. Before I ask you, maybe one or two more insights on your two's journey, where can we find some of these socks online?
we found the sock is of johncreativesock.com.
JonesCrazySocks.com. And you can find lots of things going on there. You know, you can get tours, custom socks, our speaking engagements.
Yes,
We have an annual Autism Can Do scholarship you can apply for. John's
Amazing.
dance party.
yes.
Um,
Oh, I remember the dance parties. Let's talk about those again so people can hop on.
Yes. Check out my online dance party. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Eastern time. Everybody dancing on Zoom call.
What
It's
better
really
way
fun.
to take a mental health break than let's dance for a little while with John and some other people, right?
That's what I'm putting in the show notes right here for when we go live, looking for a mental health break every Tuesday at 3 p.m. He's got his Zoom party. But I do want to touch on one more thing before I let you both go. We talked about entrepreneurship, how it can be lonely, how you're doing a lot of work, you're on your own. What are some things you do to take a break from that go, 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 that stressful lifestyle to make sure your mental health stays okay?
That's been a struggle for me at times,
You're not alone.
and it's affected my physical health.
Yeah.
I think you have to be disciplined and structured. Will sound crazy, but you have to be disciplined to have fun. You have to make sure you're taking some time off and some time away. And it helps if you're able to connect with others to do that, to socialize, maybe outside of work, outside of other entrepreneurs. You know, I'm old, so I've learned, you know, it used to be, oh, you know, I can remember where it was a badge of honor to tell people I'm working 20 hours a day. How ridiculous, right? All the data now says no, you get diminishing returns. Put the time in, be focused, but you got to have something outside. You got to take care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually. It's, you know, it's the airplane metaphor. When the oxygen masks drop, put yours on first before you can help other people. Because if you don't have it on, you can't help other people.
You can't be a best friend or help others until you help yourself. And you made a great point there. You take care of your spirituality, all these different areas in entrepreneurship, and you get burnt out. I've been there too. It doesn't help because in life, there's more than one sector than just your business. There's your family, there's your friends. And that's something I've learned where what good is running myself down, not eating because I'm working all day? What is that really doing for me? Not much.
Right.
I want to add something.
Please.
I want to give a shout out to my brother and my mom. My younger brother Jamie and my mom Carol. My mom.
He's not your younger brother.
No.
He's your older brother.
Okay, Jamie, stop it. I my older brother Jamie and my mom. Mommy Jamie, I love you very very much. I know it's hard. I know it's hard at mental health, and my heart is really it is. You're not alone, and you're not alone, and you can make the difference and show your impact. Show your impact in mental health. And I know it's hard, and I know my family, my business are go through, and I love you guys so much.
He singles them out because if you look at us from the outside, you might say, oh, the presenting condition is Down syndrome. But both my middle son and my bride have suffered from pretty significant forms of chronic depression, which is really can be debilitating.
Yes.
Down syndrome, that's easy. Depression, that's hard.
Well,
mental health challenge affects the individual, it affects families.
Certainly does. And everyone out there, please use that to remember you're not alone. There is always a resource for you. What works for some doesn't work for everyone, but we learned some new tips today. And we've learned about an awesome pair of gentlemen up there in New York doing great work, improving lives every day. You heard that story about how powerful a job can be. And that also, I hope, inspires you. Head down the path that's meant for you. That job was meant for that individual. He thrives, he's happy. There's a job out there. There's something for you. It may not be the highest paying job, but there is a job for you. I was a finance major. I have more fulfillment doing what I do every single day, and I won't stop now. One more time on where we can find you online.
You can find it at johnscrazysocks.com.
John's Crazy Socks. What's our mission?
And spread happiness.
Spreading happiness.
They're spreading happiness for sure. Thanks again for stopping by, guys. And everyone out there, be sure to check out their website. And we are also at A Mental Health Break on all podcast platforms, all social media. I am at Vincent A. Lancy on all social and YouTube. If you have any interest in joining the show as a guest or have a question for these guests or myself, reach out to Danica at podcastbylancy@gmail.com and we'll get you connected. But with that, we are signing off today from New York down to Florida. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.